Hello people, Moino Wavenberg here again as always, Andrew as usual. Yeah, as you can tell as always, Andrew as usual from the header. It's about how to use astrology to observe and predict the weather. Now, this is a draft article that I'm busy putting together. You can find the link to this article, as always, Andrew as usual, link to the description of this video. Now, let me recite. You can also make observations and predictions regarding the weather. The basic rules are below. Fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius bring about heat, warmth, and humidity. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn bring about dryness, barrenness, accompanied by fire symptoms, albeit up to a lesser extent. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius bring about better air quality and wind velocity. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces bring about rain and overall wet weather or inclinations towards such. For regions with the European climate, the so-called schedule is as follows. The first house to the third house, spring, 4th to 6th, summer, 7th to 9th, autumn, 10th to 12th, winter. And for regions with the tropical climate, 1st to 3rd, warmth, 4th to 6th. Ignore that. 1st to 3rd, warmth, 4th to 6th, wellness, 7th to 9th, balanced, and 10th to 12th, dryness. And then asterisks, 2 of them. Let it be noted that for tropical climates, there is more intermittency per cycle. E.g., the first house to the third house will be warmth, dryness, and windiness. Let me just remove this comma. Yeah, not necessary to have that there. The 11th house represents the weather in this context as well as overall. Those are simply things that you need to keep in mind. So, I'm sorry, I'm just briefly pausing because I'm thinking about something. So yeah, everything is self-explanatory. The fire signs in astrology, generally speaking, within the context of observations and predictions through astrology or via astrology, they reflect, not literally bring about earlier what I said is in a manner of speaking. They reflect heat, warmth, and humidity. Water signs reflect rain and wet weather. Air signs reflect better air quality and wind velocity, like more windy or just windier, and the overall air quality is better. And earth signs stand for dryness and barrenness, generally speaking. The most unforgiving one that comes to mind, so to speak, is Capricorn, and the kindest one is Taurus. For fire signs, it would be Aries, and the kindest one would be Sagittarius. Essentially, the first and the last ones. The most potent one for water would be Cancer, and Pisces would be the smoothest one, if you will, so to speak. Now, I'm simply going to demonstrate this through a chart. Give me a moment. An astrological chart. Give me a moment. Let me see, because I have a chart ready. What was it again? Weather. Yes, weather. Now, you just ignore this in general. By ignore, I mean in a manner of speaking, the description. It simply stands for current weather conditions with my fifth pinnacle of the moon and future projections. That's what the FP stands for. But again, it's a typo. It's the sixth pinnacle of the moon, the sixth and last pinnacle of the moon. But you can exclude that. This is a chart that I'm simply going to show to you for the sake of an example. Now, this was cast on the 16th of January, as you can tell, on a Sunday, and today is March the 3rd. So we're simply going to pivot to March the 3rd. March the 3rd, 2024. And as you can tell in the bottom right corner, it's 12:52 in my location. 12:52 p.m. So literally as of the date of this recording, Sunday, March the 3rd, 2024, at 12:52 p.m. in my location that people are familiar with, and or you can see here, and the other miscellaneous settings that you can ignore in a manner of speaking. Now, as I already said in the article to be published, is that the 11th house in general represents weather. Within this context, if you cast an astrological chart, an orrery chart, and you ask, hey, what are the weather predictions between now and a year from now, for example? Or just plain, what are weather predictions, just indefinitely from this point out, as in the point of me casting this astrological chart. And the 11th house applies. Aquarius by default rules over the weather within this context, or within the context of this subject. Now, as you can tell, the 11th house is ruled by 16 degrees in Aries. You can dismiss the, for good measure's sake, you can simply dismiss the degree. Aries. Now, so Aries currently rules in my location. And of course, the celestial bodies, such as planets and whatnot, that are in the house also give additional information. Chiron in Aries, the same zodiac sign, and Jupiter in Taurus also give away information, but more of a lesser nature. Jupiter in Taurus simply stands for the fact that there is a considerable amount of dryness, albeit of a stable nature. So a consistent, stable level of dryness is present in the atmosphere overall, in my location at a nationwide level, or at the very least within my neighborhood, but generally speaking nationwide. And Chiron there says the same thing, honestly, that the ruler of the house overall is saying, the zodiacal ruler. So yeah, it's currently dry, and at the end of this video you'll see indeed how dry it is outside. I'm gonna do a quick recording for you guys, and you'll see for yourself what time it is. Now, when can I expect the weather to change? By default, I'm gonna fast forward. The next sign will be Taurus, March the 16th. So 13 days from now, Saturday, exactly 13 days from now. Yeah, the 16th will be Saturday. And you can, as you can tell or see, the new ruler is Taurus. And again, Jupiter in Taurus again, and Uranus in Taurus. Yeah, because then Taurus will start to rule. So you can expect that same level of stable dryness that Jupiter indicates. You can expect that same trend to continue. But the point of, as per the present date, so March the 3rd, the point is that currently, as things currently stand, bluntly put, it's hot as fuck outside. Not unbearably hot, but still quite hot. So yeah, that's essentially how you measure the weather. You can keep going and going and going and going. I mean, if I go, and obviously you can already tell what time it is. After Taurus, you'll have, I'm simply fast forwarding, you'll have Gemini as the ruler. And it will embody the same properties, and that will happen on April the 15th. And then it just goes on and on and on. And when can I expect it to rain again up to substantial levels, as in nice delicious rain, heavy-handedness, nice and cold by tropical standards? May the 18th. See what I mean? This way you can keep track of the weather, all the while taking the guidelines that I outlined here into account. You need to take everything into account. Do you live in a country with a European climate or a tropical climate? You need to incorporate all of this into what you're seeing me do here, provided that you can do what I'm doing. That you can animate a chart, you can progress, regress, etc. Fast forward, rewind. Yeah, so in any case, it's going to start raining again at a heavy set level on a day-to-day basis, and or the weather is by default going to be, by tropical standards, going to be cool, relatively speaking cool, and so no warmth, no heat, no humidity, the exact opposite. You can expect rain to be looming in the air almost all the time. Or if there is any warmth or humidity, it's purely because, again, it wants to rain. The entire air will be strenuous, or the entire sky will be strenuous, as in strained, as in it wants to rain. Either constantly, or at the very least near constantly, or frequently. So like 7 out of 10 times in the day, yeah. You'll see that, okay, yeah, it wants to rain, or it is outright raining, and at a heavy level at that. And that's essentially it. That's how you do it. Now, before I go, for people that are following me, or for people that have followed me, or just plainly are and or have followed me, or people that outright know what I'm talking about, in terms of what I'm about to say, followers of mine remember my project regarding the 6th and last pinnacle of the moon, where I essentially make it rain in my location within a radius, nationwide to a lesser extent, but primarily within a radius of like 10-20 kilometers, so within my neighborhood. or just outright within my neighborhood. I increase the level of rain with that pentacle. Now, what I showed you is the case by default. So that pentacle, it influences the weather, but of course, up to a certain degree or extent, in alignment, or in tandem, or in conjunction with miscellaneous conditions and circumstances that I'm not going to get into, because that's not the main subject of this video. Okay, that's why you'll find the article also in the related topics section of the article I just showed you guys. The occult and geography / agriculture, and the sixth and last pinnacle of the moon. Now, what I simply meant by this is that, again, this can influence the weather up to a tremendous extent and or degree, and vice versa. But of course, not to the point where it goes against the natural order of things. That's why, as things currently stand, it is dry. Because weather-wise, Aries is ruling. So, yeah, weather-wise, today, literally, Aries is ruling. Aries is going to continue to rule until for another week and a half or so. Yeah. So until 15th, and including the 15th. Yeah. So again, there is nothing to be done about that. What my pentacle does instead is that it decreases the heat up to a realistic extent. So that's why I said I can go stand outside and it's not unbearable. It is hot, like hot as fuck, but not unbearably hot. It's like maybe 31, 32 degrees outside, and the humidity is like 30%. Without this pentacle, it's going to be 38, 39, and the humidity is going to be at least like 70%, at least. Generally speaking, it's like 80 to 90% even. You'll be sweating your balls off. And that is all. Goodbye. See for yourself in real time how hot it is outside.